Okay. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Great to be in a new year and maybe leaving some things behind that we want to, and looking forward to some great things ahead of us here this year. So with that, I would like to ask us to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to ask Clerk Robertson if he would do the roll call and also with your location of where you're at. You need to unmute yourself, Clerk Robertson. I think I might have muted you accidentally, or there was some background noise. Okay.
How's that?
Good. We can hear you.
Okay, very good. Roll call vote with location. Trustee Hugo.
Blanc Township.
Trustee Fike.
Here. Blanc Township.
Trustee Raridan.
Here, Blanc Township.
Trustee White.
Blanc Township.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Here in beautiful Blanc Township.
Myself, I'm obviously here at my office in the township. Supervisor Bennett, you are in the township hall.
I am. Thank you.
Okay, very good. There are 7 members present, a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next item is approval of the consent agenda and the regular agenda. I do have one slight change. I'm asking the board to hold off on operational issue A, which is to recognize one of our residents, Earl Hagan, for his 28 years of service to Blanc Township on our Board of Review. I would like to try and see if we could do that in person. I'm hoping that maybe in the next month or so, maybe we can have an in-person meeting and recognize this gentleman for his many years of service and do that in person and be able to hand to him some type of resolution and have his family available as well. So I'd like to hold off on that item, but other than that, I don't have any other changes to the agenda. Would there be a motion to accept the consent agenda and regular agenda? Trustee Fike? You're making that motion, Trustee Fike? Okay. Treasurer Kilmer? Seconded by Treasurer Kilmer.
Okay, motion by Fike, seconded by Kilmer to accept or approve the consent agenda and the agenda as amended.
Correct.
Okay, record roll call vote. Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0. Motion passes.
Okay. At this time, we will open the floor for public comment, and we just ask that individuals try to keep their comments to 3 minutes or less, and please state your name and address for the record. So, Ms. Roberts, anybody have their hand raised at this time? Okay. We do not see anybody with their hand raised at this time, and again, if you would like to speak, you can either send an email to me, or you can actually, if you go down to the bottom, if you're on Zoom, and you move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, click on the participant tab, and then down at the bottom of the participant list, you'll see an icon for raising your hand. And that'll note to us that you would like to comment. But at this time, okay, we do have somebody raise their hand. Miss Lane. Go ahead, we're unmuting your line at this time.
Mr. Bennett, I think Miss Hugo was just kicked out of the,
I'm sorry?
I think Miss Hugo was just kicked out of the meeting.
Oh, her,
Muted.
actually, I think she's still there. It's just, she has a bad connection, it looks like. Her image froze, so I would think that she's probably,
Actually,
she's probably
she disappeared.
reconnecting.
She
She's
disappeared
probably
from my
reconnecting
screen.
at this time. What I would encourage you to do, that if you're logging in from home, is to plug in your computer via landline if you can, as opposed to using Wi-Fi, and it's just much stronger signal. Treasurer Kilmer, did you want to be recognized?
I just was making the statement that Miss Hugo just disappeared from my screen totally.
Right. She's probably lost the signal, so we're waiting for her to get back in. But we'll go ahead.
Do you want to stand at ease, Mr. Supervisor?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to stand at ease at the call of the chair until she returns?
Yes, please. She's rejoining us, I believe. Yeah, you're rejoining?
I'm trying, and it just says connecting.
I think there's a connection here. Something going on with your internet connection. Oh, you know what? I see you now.
Oh, do you?
I just admitted you.
Thank you.
Okay.
There she
There
is.
she is.
Okay, one of the things I'd mentioned, Sarah,
Show
that,
will go on.
yeah. What you may want to do if whoops. One of the things that our board members may want to do, if it's possible, I know a lot of us use Wi-Fi, but these video conferences take a lot of bandwidth. You might want to find a way to run a cable. And actually, I probably have some longer cables I can give to some of you, but plug in directly to your router as opposed to using Wi-Fi, and it'll make your signal much stronger, and you won't break up as easily anyways. So with that, let's go to public comments, and Ms. Lane has her hand raised. Ms. Lane?
Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
I can hear you, Ms. Lane, thanks.
Oh, okay, I'm new to this. I know that it's standard procedure for the board to authorize the supervisor, the superintendent, or the finance director to sign contracts after the board has reviewed them and approved them at a regular meeting, like you're doing with Roe and the sanitary sewers in item 7B. My concern is, I was wondering if the board plans on approving the 19 blank contact pages relating to the MERS defined benefit plan for the full-time employees in the police department and the unfunded liability, as well as the defined contribution plan provided for the other full-time employees. The voters elected the board to make these decisions, and would the board consider meeting with a MERS representative to become familiar with the MERS plans, review the options to control costs, and then approve completed documents to ensure you are not inadvertently increasing the liability to the residents? There are 22 retirees in the police department and an additional 13 to be retiring soon. MERS has required employees requesting service credits to provide the board with actuarial costs for those years of service. Boards usually approve the request if the employee pays all of the actuarial costs. And I'm just wondering if the board, since this is one of your major responsibilities, if you're going to investigate some of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Again, anybody else have their hand raised? What I would recommend, if you would like to speak, is to move your cursor to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a participants tab. You click on the Participants tab, and a list of the participants will show up on your right side of your screen. And at the bottom of that list will be an icon for raising your hand. With that, we are going to move, seeing no further public comment, we'll move into the approval of the minutes, item 5. And we can either do those singularly or as a group of minutes. And again, one benefit to our meeting schedule, starting with this meeting, we will be approving this meeting's minutes at our next meeting, right, Dave? Or Clerk Robertson? He's saying that's correct. And you're muted, Dave. But bottom line is it'll make it much easier for us to review the minutes and to approve them, I believe. So I'll entertain a motion if somebody so chooses to approve either those minutes as a group or individually. Ms. Hugo?
I will make a motion to approve those as a group.
Okay. Ms. Hugo made a motion to approve the minutes as in its entirety,
I'll second that.
supported by Trustee Fike. Any discussion on the minutes? Mr. Clerk Robertson, you need to unmute yourself first, but if you want to do the roll call for that.
I'll go get him.
Bottom part of your screen, Dave, just move your cursor down there and click on the microphone. There you go.
Forgive me, Mr. Supervisor, I'm getting a message. You cannot move a video while non-video participants are hidden. And I'm not aware of anybody that's hidden. Bear with, you were muted? I am now. I'm not now. Thank you very much. Somebody keeps muting me. I know I didn't do it to myself.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. All right. I hope we're technically, all right. Okay, record roll call vote on the minutes before you, in their entirety. Trustee Fike,
Yes.
Trustee White,
Yes.
Trustee Hugo,
Yes.
Trustee Raridan,
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer,
Yes.
myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett,
Yes.
very good. Minutes adopted.
Okay, moving to operational issues, item B. The board will consider a motion to approve Row PSC's construction management proposal for the District 8 sanitary sewer replacement project for $92,500 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts and documents. Mr. Limata, would you like to discuss this particular item? I know everybody has some information in their packet, but maybe you can shed some further light on it.
Supervisor, I would respectfully ask, just have Director Sears, the things in your packet primarily came before I returned back to the township. So I think it would be better to have Mr. Sears answer the questions or provide some dialogue for the board.
All right, Director Sears, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
So would you like to give us a little bit of background on this? I know we have some information in the packet, but maybe you can shed some further light on the necessity for this project.
Absolutely. Before you tonight is a proposal from Row Engineering Services to provide construction management for our District 8 sewer replacement project that is currently underway with conjunction with the Dort Highway Extension project. They were originally two separate projects that have been in making for several years. Finally, when Dort Highways was to be built, since the District 8 sewer runs through the project and mostly in a lot of that right of way for the new South Dort Highway, it made sense to build them all together. So construction started late last year, and originally myself along with my assistant director were to provide the construction management services because the Genesee County Road Commission is the contract holder. So we thought that they would be doing a majority of that work, and it turns out that we were mistaken. Row Engineering generally provides this service to us They have in all of our construction projects since I've been with the township. So we reached out to Rowe for a proposal to help us out with this. Largely on the engineering side, there's a lot more to it than what we thought we were going to have to undertake. And they will be helping us with change orders, on-site meetings, and any kind of engineering issues that we may come across in the field. So that's what's before you tonight. The quote we got is standard. I think it was 5% of construction costs, which is what we would normally pay for a project like this.
So just to give a little bit more layman's thumbnail sketch of this from my speaking on from me, but as all of us are familiar with the Dort Highway extension, it's about a $13 million project overall, Mr. Sears.
Correct.
And then also one of the things that the township agreed to do with that extension years ago was to put sewer line in at that time, correct?
Correct.
And so that sewer line, I don't know, approximate cost, $2 million?
Yeah, the project total for the township is $3.2 million. About 800,000 of it was for some water main, and the rest is all sanitary sewer.
Right. And so the engineering costs that we're seeing here are associated with making sure that that work is done correctly. While it's a project that is being overseen by the road commission, the road project, what have you, the sewer, and the water that Jeff, or that Mr. Sears mentioned, those will belong to us. And so it's, incumbent on us to make sure that those are installed correctly and that everything is done to Hoyle, because we're going to own those things for the rest of their life. So I think we were under the impression that since the road commission was in charge of the project, that they would be doing the engineering for this. And as it turns out, we're in charge of the engineering for the sewer and water work that we're doing. Is that kind of an accurate
That is
recap?
correct, yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Scott, the project design has been done for a year now, and that was completed by Rowe. This is mostly the project management portion of it, dealing with contracts and pay apps and stuff like that.
So the funds for this project, for this 92,000, would come out of our water and sewer.
Correct.
And we obviously have the money for it, so.
Right.
But it's something we need to do fairly quickly, because obviously during the winter months are when they're going to be putting in the water and sewer. Trustee Fike?
Quick question for Jeff. Where does the sewer begin and where does the sewer end?
So it's the project mostly is sewer replacement. There's a sewer interceptor that runs from right behind Genesis Hospital all the way up the Dort Highway extension, the right of way through there. It goes up to Cook Road, and then it turns and it heads west. Forgive me, I can't remember the name of the subdivision that it ends in, but it's not too far past where it turns west on on McWayne Road.
Hidden Oaks?
So, Hidden Oaks, yes. Yeah, it ends in Hidden Oaks. The project limits does. And what we're doing is that right now it's an 18-inch sanitary sewer interceptor, and we're upsizing it to 24-inch to give our District 8 more capacity for Genesis build out.
Mm-hmm. Any other?
Nothing past Baldwin Road.
No, nothing past Baldwin Road. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions or concerns with regard to this project? I'll entertain a motion to move forward on the expenditure so we can keep working on this.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Trustee Fike. I see, is that support by Trustee Reardon?
Correct.
Okay.
Support.
Okay.
Okay. Motion by Fike, supported by Reardon, to approve the Rowe PSC construction management proposal as indicated on the operational issues item B. Okay, Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Reardon.
Yes.
Trustee Fike. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Very good. Motion
Thank you.
passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Item C, the board will consider a resolution to adopt the DDA 2021 budget and the budget as adopted by the DDA. Attorney Laddie, any thoughts or comments? I know you're very involved with the DDA as I and Dennis, but go ahead.
Yes, I do have just a quick comment, and I know I don't want to take this time to explain all the ins and outs of the DDA district and what they do and what they've been doing, but basically for tonight's purposes, the DDA is an independent board that is created and receives tax increment financing, meaning tax revenue that's diverted from out township sources back into the Downtown Development Authority for the funding of projects and the promotion of properties within the DDA. And roughly our DDA stretches along I-75 from approximately the Saginaw Street exit to the south and all along to the Holly Road exit to the north. It includes the Tech Village proposed development that you hear so much about. And it has been in existence financially for the past, I want to say probably year and a half. And tonight, what you have in front of you is, even though they're an autonomous board, they are still really a product of your authority. And so although the DDA board has adopted their 2021 resolution themselves, the statute requires that you approve it as well. And so that's what you're being asked to do tonight. And I do want to add a caveat, because I did attach the proposed 2021 annual budget that the DDA adopted. And I have an asterisk on their budget, because this proposed budget contains an estimated amount of revenue that would come from the tax increment financing. And what we have found is that although the revenues were not as high as projected in our original plan, which was created 2 or 3 years ago, the DDA is doing well. It is bringing in tax revenue, and what you'll probably see in the near future is the DDA will adjust its own budget probably in the next 2 months or so, and that the balance of the DDA is well into the 6 figures. And so that's the good news. The other good piece of news, as you can see if you look at that proposed budget, is that the expenses are very low for the DDA to be proposed in 2021. Now, I hope that if there is a development activity that's eligible for DDA financing in the future, that number will increase. But don't be alarmed, because that is really the purpose of the DDA, is to throw its promotional and economic weight behind development in the DDA district. And so tonight, if you are so inclined and would adopt the proposed 2021 budget that the DDA authority adopted itself, they would appreciate that. And then if there is an amendment coming forward that has more concrete figures reflecting the revenue collected in 2020, then you may see a resolution similar to this in the future. And I know that's a bit of a thumbnail sketch of the purpose and status of the DDA. But if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
The township board appoints the members to the DDA as well. And we do have several things that we're working on. We have a grant that is about $5 to $6 million grant to improve Baldwin Road that would take some funding from the DDA to matching funds. We also have some potential, businesses eventually that may come to the township and ask for, or to the DDA to ask for some incentives. So we're working on developing the fund here with, collecting the taxes. Trustee Raridan?
So I have no problem with this. I just have a process question for David. So they're autonomous. They submit the budget, and do they have the final say over the budget, or is it the township? I'm kind of like the parks, back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I think ultimately you have the say over their budget because you are I want to say transferring. You're the body that's actually transferring the TIF revenues, and so if it turns out that you had an objection, you would trump the DDA board in terms of finances.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm all for it, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But it's a very good question, Trustee Reardon. That's why I mentioned that we also hold, we appoint and unappoint people to that board. But Treasurer Kilmer?
Yeah, I have a question. Okay, so they have their own financing, their own whatever. If they make commitments that where they need more money than they have, do we have to make it up?
Yes. Ultimately, we would have to make it up. Our ability to tax is what is the lifeblood of the DDA. Now, again, without getting into tax increment financing, really what's happened is they have allowed us to divert tax money that would have left Grand Blanc Township and allow us to keep it in Grand Blanc Township as long as it's spent for proper DDA purposes on property in the DDA. And so before they would be able to commit themselves to some bond issue or some amount of money that would cause them to operate in the red, you guys would be able to put the brakes on that if you deem that necessary. And I think that's why this is a good example of the step that's required to have you approve the budget, even though they did already.
So if we don't ultimately approve it, they can't do it.
Well, what would happen is there would probably be a different reconciliation or a different discussion regarding the budget input that they would receive from you. And if they couldn't resolve your issues or questions, then we would have to have a heart-to-heart discussion about that. But by and large, this DDA is committed itself to operate within its financial parameters, and it wants to do that. Obviously, it needs to do that with your blessing. And so I don't see where I don't see where the two would ever cross in differently traveling directions economically, because their goal is to be as conservative as you are.
Yeah. At some point, we'll have a joint meeting between the DDA board and this board so that everyone can meet those folks and vice versa. As Mr. Laddie said, the board is made up of individuals that obviously have the township in the best interest. The money that goes into the DDA is from the properties in that area. And so it isn't money that we're taking out of our general fund. It's actually money that we wouldn't have captured anyways. It would have been going to all the other entities in the county. So it's really a boon to that area of the township to have these kind of revenues coming in that we can use to incentivize, major corporations coming here. We can assist with some water and sewer. We can, there's all kinds of things we can do, help with liquor licenses, whatever, to get restaurants. So that area, we're kind of saving up our pennies right now to be able to make a difference with some businesses. Trustee Reardon?
Are you the chair of the DDA or?
Yes. Yep, I'm the chair of the DDA.
Okay.
So I'll keep you informed. Things slowed down obviously a little bit with the COVID pandemic, but in terms of a lot of things happening, but behind the scenes, actually, Superintendent Limita and myself and some other principals involved with the properties have been meeting, and we've been not letting anything grow under our feet. So, in fact, we had a meeting earlier today, and with some of the individuals. So we're priming the pump, and I hesitate to say anything anytime about it because then my phone starts to ring with people wanting to know the news. And right now there isn't any news other than we're working on it. And I don't know, Mr. Limita, anything you'd want to mention on the DDA?
might be helpful. It'll go back from when we initiated the conversation about the DDA and creating a TIF district. I still have all that information that I had initially provided to the previous board, and I think it might be helpful to send it out just for historical reference to everybody here. And those were great questions about, what happens with the expenses and can you override them? But just know that when we put that plan together, it went to the township board, and the township board looked at what the projects were in the TIF plan on what we'd be willing to finance. And it is a board adopted plan. So when you talk about, will we be at odds with the DDA board versus the township board, you guys do control the purse strings, and they can only expend money within that DDA district for the public good. They can't do it. It has to be a public good project. And so I think that's important to remember. They can't come back and say, we took a trip to Vegas to advertise a DDA or something. That money has to be spent within the district, and it has to have a public good attached to it that you guys would approve.
I'd approve if they'd take us to Vegas.
All right, we'll have that on the recording. Trustee White, you're muted right now, I see.
Thank you. I just have a question, and it's sort of related to the DDA, but are we allowed to have other, I guess I'll call them TIF zones for lack of a better, I'm not familiar. I understand what the idea of it is. Beyond the DDA, so looking at the master plan, which has been approved by the Planning Commission, I know we're going to get to it, like North Saginaw, I know that's one of the areas of redevelopment. So is there an option to do other DDA-like areas besides the DDA?
There is.
Okay.
Go ahead, I don't know, Attorney Laddie or Mr. Lehman, anything more on that, or?
No, there are opportunities. They're called different things, but there are opportunities for TIF, the creation of TIF districts that will work on blighted areas and focus areas within the township. And Mr. White's correct. I think the revised master plan or amended master plan does contain some reference to some of the different versions. Now, we haven't. In order to do that, you're going to be well aware and well in advance of any sort of proposed plan to do that, because just like the DDA, it will essentially be born out of your authority and under your supervision.
Okay, great questions. Okay, it looks like you're hesitating on a question there, Trustee Reardon.
No, I was actually just going to make a motion to.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so motion by Trustee Reardon to approve the resolution to adopt the DDA 2021 budget. Is there support? Support by Trustee Hugo.
Okay, very good. Record roll call. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Item D, the board will consider a resolution to adopt a renotice of the public hearing for Misty Meadows to January 26, 2021. Who would like to kind of discuss this issue? Attorney Laddie or
Sure.
Clerk Robertson?
This is a redo. This may look familiar to you because we acted to set a public hearing for, which is the first step of creating a special assessment district for the resurfacing of the subdivision road in Misty Meadows subdivision. We adopted that and planned for the public hearing to be held tonight. Unfortunately, both the Grand Blanc View and the Flint Journal amended their deadline schedules for publication of submission of application, and they did it over the holidays, and so we found ourselves a bit short on the notice requirements. And so we're asking you tonight to amend the resolution, creating the opportunity for the public hearing to be January 26th, which is your next regular meeting. And again, that was due to the fact that the publication deadlines were advanced, I guess, for both of those papers.
I move that we so amend it.
I'll second.
Motion
Okay,
by
motion by Treasurer Kilmer,
Kilmer, seconded by
Trustee Fike. Yes.
Okay, Fike. Okay. Very good. Motion by Kilmer, supported by Fike. Supported. Record roll call. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes.
Okay.
7-0.
Thank you. Item E, the board will consider a resolution establishing the township superintendent and finance director for MERS contracts and service credit purchase approvals. Mr. Limita, can't hear you for some reason, Mr. Limita.
Because it,
We couldn't hear you you got to start over, Mr. Limita. I'm sorry. We couldn't hear you for some reason. I don't know.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So,
It's very quiet. I'm not sure. Maybe. Okay. All right. Maybe just speak a little bit louder.
So I'll defer this to Finance Director Kathy Sostak. She is on the meeting because this did occur. This came to the township before I had returned to my position. But basically, we already are the signatories for the MERS things, and this is clarification from MERS. And they had actually wanted it done before the end of the year, but we were clarifying a few points. We actually did find, like, the service credit purchase approvals, that was done in a resolution back in the 1990s. But this is a clarification for some of the changes that MERS is making. We can't change. I know there was a question from public comment. We can't change anything in these forms. And while she had referred to blank documents, the board did receive an email that had these, and anybody who updated the packet, they're loaded in there now. It had something to do with when we saved them. It didn't save all of the completed documents. They are in the packet now if they go to download it. But again, I want to defer this to Finance Director Sostak, both this item and item F, because she was here when MERS sent the request forward.
Just for the public and maybe even board, a lot of these acronyms get lost on people. And again, just kind of the citizen's view of this, or layman's view, is MERS stands for Michigan Employee Retirement System. And this is the fund that we pay money into for retirees, or they pay their own money in, or a combination of the two. And municipalities all over the state are part of this program. It's not mandatory, but we adopted it some years ago. And so anyways, that's what this discussion is regarding, is employee retirement system funding. Good evening, Director Sostak.
Good evening. This first document you have here is a resolution, and it's for the establishing authorized signatures for pretty much any contracts or service credit purchases. And what it's establishing the township superintendent position as the primary, and finance director position is the secondary signer on it. And essentially, it allows us to sign documents that are required by MERS, but we can't go outside of what's been approved in bargaining contracts, or what is in the original documents that are set to MERS. When the defined benefit plan and defined contribution plans were established, we did submit documents, and that case, the options were set at that point. And so this only allows us, somebody has to sign documents that are sent over to MERS, and that only allows us to do that. We are not able to go outside of those boundaries, though, with this.
So in terms of changing the plan or anything along those lines, we cannot do even with these signatures.
That would still have to come before the board.
Yeah. And
exactly.
Believe me,
Any kind of change to the plan would still have to come before the board.
Yeah. And MERS
It does
are,
allow for service credit purchase. MERS actually changed their process on how service credit is purchased now. It's actually submitted by the employer, and this was done back in 2017. So if the both of the police contracts allow for service credit purchase. So it's already been bargained in, and they do have that option of purchasing credit. This just allows for us to submit the documents. It doesn't allow us to go outside of those boundaries, though.
well, if there's anybody who's a stickler for making sure that every T is crossed and I is dotted, it's MERS. At least from what my experience has been. So this basically allows our staff to be able to make the signatures that we need to keep going. Trustee Reardon?
Well, if everybody's set, I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution.
I'm not quite yet, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Well, we can have some discussion. Let's go ahead.
I have no substantive objection to the point. We're referring to this as a resolution, and I see that the material provided in the packet is in a resolution form. It has a number of whereases, and then ultimately the governing body resolves. I'm working on with Attorney Laddie a numbering system for all resolutions that we're keeping track of course, all the board activity. And I want to be clear for the record that this is a resolution that it's not a resolution that we have prepared as a board. We're still using the term resolution, and I don't want to muddy the waters or make it more confusing than it already is, but I just wondered whether or not we should refer to it differently in the minutes or what have you. Attorney Laddie, could you help me in this matter?
I think and you were right. We've been involved in sort of a painstaking process to get this all organized. And by my calculations, and again, we knew that there were going to be resolutions that would come to us from other sources. And though we still need to fit it into our own numbering scheme. And so unless I'm mistaken, I think we began our 2021 with 2021 1 and 2 that we adopted tonight. So this would be resolution 2021 3.
2021-3. Very good. Very good. Then that's how it shall be numbered.
Okay.
And recorded. And Mr. Laddie just disappeared from my view.
I think he's just double.
I was getting my cheat sheet on a resolution.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I think this will be 2021 number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate very much your attention to that detail, Clerk Robertson.
Thank you very much. Now that I've got that clerical matter cleared up, and thank you to the rest of the board for your patience while I engage in that conversation. I'm happy to support Trustee Reardon's motion on the resolution.
Okay.
So,
very good.
Motion by
any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. All right. So motion by Reardon, supported by Robertson.
Supported by Robertson. Okay.
And this is
very good. Then we will have a record roll call vote. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Reardon.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Item F, the board will consider a motion to approve the defined benefit plan and defined contribution plan adoption agreement addendums as requested by MERS, Michigan Employee Retirement System. Director Sostak, can you comment with regard to what this document is?
Sure. These documents were provided by MERS. What they were doing is they were going through an audit of their books, and this was actually sent to all of the municipalities that participate in MERS. It wasn't just distinct to our township. And they just asked us to clarify the terms of our defined benefit and our defined contribution plans. They're effective January 1st of 2021, but there's no change as to what is currently in effect in the plans. This is just, they wanted the documents. What they're saying is over the years, things have changed, not just with our plan, but with other municipalities. And they're just trying to get everything clarified with all of their participants. So there's nothing different than what is currently in the plan right now. It's just a clarification, but they do require board approval to be sent over to MERS. So that's what these are doing right here. And it's establishing any provisions of the plan and essentially the definition of compensation, which isn't what the benefits are based upon. For instance, our defined contribution plan is based upon base wages. A percentage of base wages is contributed for each employee that is a participant. And the defined benefit plan, it defines what is included in compensation there and what their contributions are based upon as well.
Any questions of Director Sostak? So basically, MERS is doing an audit of the contracts they have on file, and they want to verify with every entity that they're holding money for that the plan they have is accurate. Treasurer Kilmer?
Has anything changed with our costs?
You mean we haven't changed the plan, so they're...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this doesn't change the cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't change the cost. The contribution rate is still the same for the defined contribution plan. And our defined benefit contribution rate is determined annually with a evaluation that is performed by MERS. So the rates were set prior to these documents. They have not changed with these documents, no.
So all this does is change the signatories?
Well, this actually just confirms
Well, the last document, the resolution, the last resolution that you just approved, that was for the signatories. Now, this is just identifying the provisions of each plan, both the defined benefit and defined contribution plans.
All right.
Basically, MERS is going through an audit of all their plans, and they want to make sure they're confirming with each entity that they hold funds for as to what that plan is, so that they have it on file for their audit. So I'm glad they're doing it. So do we have a motion to adopt? I guess this is a motion and not a resolution. Someone care to make it? Trustee Fike makes the motion. Do we have support?
I'll support it.
Okay.
Okay, a motion to approve the defined benefit plan and defined contribution plan adoption agreement addendums as requested by MERS. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Next item, future agenda items. I've spoken individually with each of our board members, and we're going to conduct a board education session on Saturday, January 23rd. And it's going to be in the morning. We'll get with everybody on the exact time and location, but we will make sure that we have plenty of social distancing space and PPE and all that good stuff to keep all of us safe. So we definitely want to do that. Treasurer Kilmer, anything to report from the treasurer's office?
No, I have some things that I don't fully understand at the moment, but I think we'll have them straightened out by next meeting, and I'll ask to put off my treasurer's report till next meeting.
Okay. All right, and that's understandable. I don't think anybody expects anybody to fully understand everything right now. I mean, we've only been on the job for a little over a month, so. Clerk Robertson?
I have nothing to report, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you.
Okay. Attorney Laddie, anything to report?
No, sir.
Okay. Superintendent Limita?
You just heard what Treasurer Kilmer had to say. We do have some meetings scheduled coming up. Director Sostak has reached out to Michael Berry from PFM. Those are the people who do our investments for us, for municipal investments. And we're going to schedule a meeting. It has to be virtual because PFM isn't allowed to meet in person yet, but We will have a virtual meeting scheduled for next week on one day or another. So we'll get the information to Treasurer Kilmer as soon as possible so that we can make sure we're all on the same page. I think it's important for him to have that comfort level with the investment reports. We've already looked at the investment policy, and I think you guys will be able to ask him questions. And just bear with us as we go through it, because with Treasurer Kilmer, again, reading some of these reports, it's a learning curve. But I think after he has the opportunity to spend some time with Michael Berry, our representative from PFM, he's going to be much more well-versed in providing those reports to the board. And whether that's monthly or quarterly, you guys will get at minimum quarterly reports. That's mandated, but it's up to the board and their comfort level and Treasurer Kilmer on how often you see those investment reports. It could be monthly, but at a minimum of quarterly. We've also started looking at a lot of the records and record keeping with the clerk and I, and record retention schedules. I think that's going to be great to get that back on track, and I look forward to working through some of that. It's great to be back, you guys. There's no shortage of work, I can assure you, but it feels really good to be back, and we're making a lot of progress. One of the areas we're looking at, and we had started to do this before I was fired previously, was looking at the overall org chart and what we're doing for operations. I've been working with a team of department heads, and we're really refining that. And we're going to present that to you on the meeting of January 26th to show you a proposal for creating a little bit more streamlined operations internally for administration. And I think you'll like what you see. It's being able to still deliver all the same services, but with a eye towards the idea that we have to be cognizant of the potential impacts of the pandemic to our revenue, not just this year, but for a few years moving forward, depending on what the Michigan Tax Tribunal does. And I think as you see as we work through this, I'll be happy to hear your feedback. Obviously, Supervisor Bennett has been in on some of it, but we are looking forward to bringing that to the board on the 26th and looking for your blessings on moving forward with some of those operational decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Limita.
Very good.
I just want to make a brief comment that after our last board meeting where we voted to bring Mr. Limita on, I was very pleased to be able to make that phone call after the meeting to congratulate Mr. Limita. We met the very next day, signed the documents, what have you. And probably within 48 hours after that, I discovered that I had COVID, and ended up being a very good time to hand over the keys back to Mr. Limita for day-to-day operations, because it snowed me under for about 3 weeks. But I really appreciated to have Mr. Limita coming on and being able to jump right in and get back in the swing of things here, and very pleased to have him back. And I'm very pleased that this board put their faith in myself and others that know Mr. Limita and all of you to support him. So I'm looking forward to many great things. Our planning session or our board education on the 23rd. Very excited about, as a board, working together here over the next 4 years. I think we're going to accomplish some great things, and having Mr. Limita at the helm to carry out those things. I'm really looking forward to looking at the township from a 10,000-foot view and seeing what things, whether it's in the north part of the township, whether it's in Tech Village, wherever it's at here in the township, we need to make sure all four corners of our township are strong and viable. So with that, Mr. Reardon, Trustee Reardon.
Yeah, this is off topic, but I just want to say it that I really strongly condemn the insurrection that occurred at the Capitol, and I just wanted to throw that out there because this would be, I thought, a good place to do it.
I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Thank you, Trustee Reardon. With that, there are a number of items that our board received email communication from Attorney Laddie on. that we'd like to go into closed session to discuss attorney's written opinion. So if somebody would care to make that motion, I'll attempt to.
I so move.
Okay, Treasurer Kilmer makes the motion. Supported by, looks like Trustee Fike. Am I accurate, Trustee Fike? Okay, supported by Trustee Fike.
Okay. Motion to go into closed session?
Yes, give me a
Okay.
few minutes to make this happen, and I would ask that any of our attendees, if you want to hang out, we may be a while, but we'll be coming back, and we'll come back into regular session before we close the meeting. Clerk Robertson, what was your question?
Do I need a record roll call vote to go into closed session? I believe I do.
Yes, you will. So go ahead,
All right,
Clerk
well,
Robertson.
then we'll, Trustee Fike, yes?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're muted, Trustee Fike.
Muted. Unmute yourself, Joel.
He is.
Yes, okay. Trustee White?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
She dropped off, I think, or she's having a connection issue tonight.
Okay. Okay, yes for Kilmer. Yes for Raritan?
Yes.
Okay. Myself, yes. And Supervisor Bennett, yes. Okay.
Yes,
We're going to try and get Trustee Hugo back.
absolutely.
All right, very good.
Okay, she's coming in right now.
Going into closed session at 7:58 p.m.
Correct. I want to wait till she comes back in. Okay, it looks like everybody made it. Mark isn't with us right now. So, okay, let's go ahead and make a motion, if somebody cares to make a motion to go back into regular session.
So moved.
Okay, Trustee Hugo makes the motion to go back into regular session. Trustee Fike supports. You're muted right now, Clerk Robertson. You need to unmute yourself. Okay, you're unmuted. I think what happened is everybody gets muted when they transfer over.
Okay, well, I know I wasn't doing it, so I figured
Okay.
it must be.
I've been
Okay.
accused before of muting people, but
Yes, you have.
not with this board, yeah. But watch it, I know where the button is.
That's funny.
So go ahead, David, we got to take a vote to go back into regular session.
Bear with me just a moment.
I don't know why you guys think that's so funny.
Okay. Okay, to return to open session, Hugo,
Yes.
Fike,
Yes.
Raritan,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett, yes, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, we had some discussion in closed session, and I think we're prepared for maybe some action. So I think, go ahead, Mr. Trustee White.
I would move that we direct Mr. Laddie to negotiate a settlement of pending zoning board of appeals litigation.
I'll support that.
Moved by White. Supported by,
I'll support it.
that's-
Joel Fike,
okay.
Joel Fike supports it.
okay, very good. Fike? Okay. Motion to direct Mr. Laddie to negotiate settlement of a pending ZBA case, zoning board of appeals case. Trustee Raritan?
No.
No. Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee White?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer is absent. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1.
Okay. Would you like to make the next motion, Clerk Robertson?
Let's see. Motion to authorize Superintendent Limita to engage in execution of an agreement, an employment agreement with Ms. Lynn Henry for the deputy clerk position. Is it, okay, a motion by myself,
Supported by Trustee Reardon.
Trustee Raridan, supports. Record roll call. Trustee Fight.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Myself. Yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
We have six yeas, 0 nays. The motion passes.
Okay. The next one I'll take a stab at. Make a motion to authorize Superintendent Limita to execute severance agreements and full release and waivers for any employees impacted by reorganization. Does that work, Superintendent, as far as the motion goes? Or Mr. Laddie?
I think it's good. I think it works.
Okay. All right. Is there support? Okay. Support by Ms. Hugo.
Yes, Hugo, support. Okay. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer is absent. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Clerk Robertson makes the motion, supported by Trustee Hugo.
Okay. And Hugo, support adjournment. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
White. So Trustee
Yes.
White. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
We are adjourned at 10:02 p.m.
Nice.
Well, thank you, everyone. We got through a lot of issues tonight, and appreciate everybody's deliberation and patience. And, one of the things I really appreciate is that we can disagree on issues and be civil with one another. And I look forward to having lots of discussions in the future that are directed towards benefiting the township. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
Good night.
See you. Good night.